The bed by the radiator. That's where he always slept. For 6 years, maybe 7. Every night without exception. You could set a clock by it. But sometime in the last few months, he stopped. Now he's in the hallway, or pressed against the cold tile by the back door, or in a corner of the room he never once cared about before. And you've been watching it happen, half noticing, telling yourself it doesn't mean anything. But it does. Not just one thing, several things, running at the same time. Some of them about biology, some about instinct, and at least one of them about what your dog is still quietly trying to do for you, even now. Here's what nobody explains when this starts happening. There isn't one reason. There's a hierarchy of reasons, and they layer on top of each other. And when you understand all of them, you stop seeing this as a strange new habit. You start reading it as a language your dog has been speaking the entire time, one you just never had the translation for. Let's start with the most visible piece, sleep itself. A healthy adult dog sleeps somewhere between 12 and 14 hours a day. When that same dog crosses into senior territory, usually around age 7, though it varies by breed and size, that number climbs. It can reach 16, 17, even 20 hours in a day. What's happening underneath that number is more important than the number itself. As dogs age, the architecture of their sleep changes. The deep, restorative stages that do the actual repair work become shorter and more fragmented. They cycle in and out of wakefulness faster. A dog that used to stay settled in one place through the night now stirs, repositions, sometimes fully wakes up, then drifts back down. That repeated disruption is part of why the spot changes. A location that worked at full mobility may simply not work anymore at the same weight, with stiff joints, and a body that wakes itself up more than it used to. But that's only the surface. There's something underneath the sleep change that most owners never see coming. Here's a fact that veterinarians have to explain to owners more often than you'd think. Dogs do not show pain the way we expect them to. Not because they don't feel it, because evolution wired them not to show it. Going back tens of thousands of years to the ancestors of the dogs we live with now, any animal that visibly limped, visibly slowed down, visibly struggled, became a target. Predators read weakness instantly, so the survival advantage went to animals that could mask it. That wiring didn't leave when dogs moved into our homes. A dog in real chronic pain will often eat normally, greet you at the door, wag its tail, and behave in almost every way exactly as it always has. What changes is where it rests. Think about what different surfaces actually mean to a body under stress. A dog with inflamed joints and osteoarthritis is one of the most common conditions in dogs over age 8, will often seek cool surfaces. Tile, hardwood, concrete. Cold is a natural anti-inflammatory. It reduces blood flow to swollen tissue, dulls nerve sensitivity. The dog isn't seeking the cold tile because it likes it. It's seeking it because the cold tile makes something hurt less. Flip that around. A dog that suddenly starts hunting the warmest spot in the house. The vent, the heater, the patch of carpet that catches afternoon sun is often a dog whose muscles are seizing up, whose fascia has tightened around stiff joints. Warmth increases circulation, loosens connective tissue, makes movement hurt less. When was the last time you actually watched where your dog chose to lie down and thought about why? That spot on the floor is a symptom report. It's just written in a language that requires translation. Now we get to the part that most people don't hear about until they're already in the middle of it. Canine cognitive dysfunction, which vets call CCD, is the clinical name for what happens when an aging dog's brain begins to deteriorate in ways that closely parallel Alzheimer's disease in humans. The mechanism is nearly identical. Beta-amyloid plaques accumulate in brain tissue, disrupting the connections between neurons, slowly degrading memory, spatial awareness, and the ability to orient in time. The numbers are harder to look at than most people realize. Research indicates that around 28% of dogs between ages 11 and 12 show measurable signs of CCD. By 14, that number is close to 50%. By 15 or 16, it's above 68%. Most of those dogs are still eating, still wagging, still sleeping in your home. One of the first things CCD disrupts is the sleep-wake cycle. The dog's internal clock, the biological rhythm that told it when to sleep and when to be alert, gets distorted. The dog starts sleeping heavily during the day and waking up confused, restless, and agitated at night. It paces, it circles, it stands in the hallway staring at a wall, apparently at nothing. This is called sundowning, the same term used for the equivalent phenomenon in human dementia patients, where symptoms reliably worsen as daylight fades. And here is the part that is genuinely, almost unbearably ironic. The deep sleep that dogs are losing is the exact sleep their brains most need. During slow-wave sleep, the deepest stage, the brain activates a system called the glymphatic system. Think of it as a cleaning cycle. Cerebrospinal fluid moves through the brain tissue and flushes out metabolic waste, including the beta-amyloid proteins that form those plaques. A 2023 polysomnographic study confirmed this mechanism specifically in dogs. The sleep that clears the plaques is the sleep CCD is destroying. Less deep sleep means more plaques. More plaques means worse CCD. Worse CCD means even more disrupted sleep. The dog moves from its usual spot, not because it's forgotten where it used to sleep. It moves because a body and a brain, under that kind of pressure, are recalibrating constantly, searching for conditions where some version of rest might still be possible. If you've been watching this happen in your dog and haven't yet talked to a vet, that conversation is worth having sooner rather than later. Early management of CCD doesn't reverse it, but it can meaningfully slow the progression. The window matters. And if you're here because you're trying to understand what's happening with your dog, because you love this animal, and you want to actually see what it's going through, that's exactly what this channel is for. Subscribe if you want to stay. Now let me show you the other side of this, because not everything that happens when your old dog changes sleeping spots is about decline. Some of it is about something that never left. Dogs and humans have been sharing sleeping spaces for somewhere between 15,000 and 40,000 years, depending on whose archaeological data you're reading. In that entire time, one behavior has appeared consistently across breeds, across cultures, across millennia. Dogs position themselves between their people and the entrance, near the door, at the top of the stairs, across the threshold of the bedroom, facing outward, facing the direction something could come from. This is not confusion. It's not displacement. It is the single oldest behavior in the human-dog relationship. The sleeping sentinel, the pack guardian, the animal that chose to stay awake so you didn't have to. Doorways and thresholds hold something else too. Your scent, layered and concentrated, every arrival and departure recorded in the air and the floor. For a dog whose visual world is getting darker, whose hearing is fading at the edges, that olfactory record of you becomes an anchor. The door smells like you coming back. It has, every single time. And somewhere in that aging brain, the instinct is still running. Stay close to where the pack moves through. Keep watch. Keep them safe. Your old dog didn't move to that spot because something is wrong with him. He moved there because you're still worth protecting. Here's a quick way to start reading the language. Cold tile or smooth floor. Look at the joints, the hips, the elbows. stiffness after lying down, resistance to jumping. A vet check for arthritis is worth prioritizing. Constant seeking of warm patches near heat sources, muscles and fascia under tension, circulation working harder than it should, near the door or threshold, facing outward. Guardian instinct, often intensifying as the dog's other senses decline. Isolated corner, back to the room, sensory overload. Hearing and vision loss make open spaces feel louder and more unpredictable. Pressed against you, unwilling to leave your side. The anxiety signature of early cognitive decline. The brain reaching for the one anchor it still recognizes completely. None of these are certainties. All of them are information. Your dog has been communicating this entire time. Not loudly. Dogs rarely communicate loudly about the things that matter most. That's the trade-off they made somewhere along the long road between wild animal and the creature asleep at the end of your hallway. But they communicate in motion, in position, in the deliberate placing of a body in a specific square foot of floor. Every inch your old dog moves is a decision made by a creature navigating a world that is genuinely getting harder to navigate. Joints that ache, a clock that no longer keeps accurate time, a brain doing its best against a process it didn't choose. What you're learning to do when you watch where he sleeps and ask why is meet him where he is. That's not a small thing. In a life as short as theirs, and a love as large as the one most of us carry for these animals, it might be the most important thing. He chose that spot for reasons. Now you know some of them.